Welcome back to Left Right USA. I'm Kat.
And I'm Susan. We're two moms, two entrepreneurs, two friends, one left-leaning, one right-leaning.
So we asked the question in the previous segment, what's wrong with Congress?
And we showed how Congress has been rubber stamping, ignoring oversight, and even echoing false claims.
But now we're asking a deeper question. Why? Why do so many Republicans in Congress still support Donald Trump?
And as it turns out, the research gives us some very clear and uncomfortable answers.
Yeah. So let's start with a study published in the Presidential Studies Quarterly in early 2023. It showed that 96% of Republican House members represented districts that Trump carried in the 2020 election.
And every single Republican senator, except Susan Collins of Maine, came from a state that Trump won.
That means that nearly all of them owed their seats to Trump-supporting voters.
And here's the kicker. 2/3 of House Republicans represented districts that Trump won by at least 55%. That's a huge margin.
So when their constituents doubted the 2020 election results or still wanted Trump in the White House, these members of Congress felt trapped.
They were stuck between honoring the Constitution or keeping the loyalty of their voters. That's the classic delegate versus trustee dilemma.
Out of hundreds of Republicans, only two, Liz Cheney and Mitt Romney, said they would not support Trump if he were the party's nominee in 2024.
And what happened to them? Cheney lost her leadership role and her primary. Romney chose not to run for re-election at all.
And that sends a clear message to everyone else in the party. Crossing Trump can be a career ender.
Which helps explain why the rest of Congress stayed quiet, even when they had concerns.
Now, wasn't Romney one of our reps?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. I was wondering where he went.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Now, another study, this one from the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences in 2023, found something fascinating.
It showed that House Republicans who supported Trump's Stop the Steal efforts were rewarded politically.
They weren't punished. They were not punished for undermining democracy. They were more likely to survive their primaries, more likely to run unopposed in the general election, and even more likely to run for higher office.
Yeah, and I was kind of glad to see that, have that intervening 4 years, because we can kind of see what happened, right? What happened after the 2020, debacle. Brouhaha. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so they were also less likely to retire. So in other words, there were no real political costs to backing Trump, only benefits.
Which explains why so many Republicans decided it was safer and smarter to stand with him rather than against him.
Now, some Republicans didn't actively push President Trump's lies. They didn't storm microphones claiming fraud in the 2020 election.
True. But as Princeton researcher Francis Lee pointed out, they didn't stop him either. They stood aside.
Yeah, they didn't vote to impeach him, to block him from holding office again. They didn't try to lead voters away from his falsehoods.
They largely ignored or downplayed his dangerous claims, hoping it would all just fade away.
But silence in moments like that, it's not neutral. It's complicity.
And it gets bigger than just Trump. The research also shows Republican officials have been increasingly willing to back extreme candidates.
And I think concerning for all of us that voters on both sides are often willing to ignore democratic norms. That means democracy, right? When those norms conflict with their partisan loyalties.
That means the incentive structure in Congress is totally upside down.
If you defend democracy, you risk your career. If you support Trump, or at least stay quiet, you're more likely to succeed.
So where does that leave us? A Congress where loyalty to Trump often outweighs loyalty to the Constitution.
But happily, not everyone went along.
So in our next section, we're going to highlight the people who did stand up to Trump.
And trust me, their stories show just how much courage it takes and how high the cost can be.
So are you surprised by what the research shows? There are rewards for undermining democracy? Leave us a comment below.
And if you want to dive deeper into the studies we talked about yet today, check out our Substack. where we share the links and the analysis.
Follow us on Facebook and Blue Sky to join the conversation between episodes and sections.
And don't forget, like this video, hit subscribe, and share it with someone who cares about the future of our democracy.
I'm Kat.
I'm Susan.
And welcome to the conversation.